Live from Al's Billiards in Cordage Park, it's Greg Simoneau. How's it going? It's nice to be back in Al's Billiards. Thanks to the local scene for having me. Thanks to Dan in the control room. Word up. Yes. All right. So sometimes you just need a new car, you know? Young or old, you know it's going to be a pain. You just got to do it, right? But what are the alternatives, you know? Hot air balloon, maybe? But what do? Just lean towards where you want it to go? Not really sure. It'd be great commuting though, no traffic. Not sure how it would work on groceries though, you know? Oh, we bought too much. Drop them, there goes the milk. You know, or, oh, how come you didn't get groceries to your wife? Honey, the wind, it just wasn't having it, blew us right over Market Basket. Could have stopped. And she'd be like, I told you to go yesterday. The gusts were coming out of the southeast. I know. My boss would be like, you can't park that there, Greg. It takes up 10 spots. You can't have 10 spots. Okay. Well, I'll inflate it and won't take up any spots. But now you'll have to answer the questions about balloon rides. So I thought about this. What about a magic carpet? Instead of a car. The only problem is that those don't exist. Or they only exist in cartoon form. That's a tough one, yeah. So in the case of the magic carpet, I'd be open to taking people on dates on that, right? And you got to have this ready for you. You got to have this in your back pocket. I can show you the world. Dee 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 dee. On a magic carpet ride, a whole new world, a new fantastic point of view. Dee 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 dee. It's in a book, a reading rainbow. Reading rainbow. Really impress your date when you got that going on. And ironically, I'm going to fly over Disney World and pick up the girl who plays Pocahontas, right? And I'll be wearing my full cosplay Jafar outfit. And the park goers will be like, oh, what is Pocahontas doing on the magic carpet up there? And some will say, yeah, what's Jafar doing with Pocahontas on that carpet? And some people will be like, help, Jafar's got Pocahontas. People that just believe too much, you know? And I was thinking, what about this for an alternative to a car? An alien ship, right? I was thinking, the only thing is that the government's keeping those under wraps because, you know, they're all electric and you don't need new tires. Sorry. And I'm wondering, do you think the people in Star Wars lived on their ships? Do you think they really had homes otherwise? You know, was there a sign in outer space, no overnight parking? Is that what it was? Was Chewbacca ever like, I'm tired, let's go home? I appreciate the extra large dog bed you got me, but there's nothing like your home planet, if it's still there. I remember I bought a car for my friend Lucian, who fixes cars, right? And we settled on a bunch, and I gave him $5,500 in cash. We gave it to him, and I'm like, Lucian, aren't you going to count it? He's like, no, I'm not going to count it because if you cheated me here, then I'm not going to help you fix your car when it needs a fixing. And I was like, weird flex, but okay. I remember one time Lucian, he's older, you know, 70s, widowed. Him and the town hippie, the hippie chick, Kat, went to Costa Rica together. You know, he brought back pictures. He was staying in a tent with Kat, with a campfire. Maybe they were making some pottery. And then he drops this bomb on us. He says, if Kat ever invites you to Costa Rica, on a trip to Costa Rica, you go. I mean, that's great. Me and my brothers we're all married, you know. If we go to Costa Rica with Kat, we live in Costa Rica with Kat now. We're Kat's problem at this point. She has to water and feed us. You know, we're Kat's dog. She's cat, we're dog. If you wonder how you get your name around here. You know, and you know, that tent, that's my new home now, okay? And I kind of get the feeling with Kat, I'm going to be in these clothes for a while, you know, at least to the next swap meet. I feel if I'm with Kat, pottery is my new job, you know. I feel like she might be saying stuff like, you only sold 3 bowls today, you know, or you call this a cup, you know. I feel like you might also hear her say stuff like, the raft is almost ready. We're almost out of here. Back to the mainland. She might say, did you count the money from that Juan gave you? I'd be like, no. She's like, oh, you're such like your father, Lucian. Yeah, Lucian's not my father. Lucian's my mechanic. Let's not forget who we are out here. And I feel like, you know, it's a bold statement just to go along with Kat. And I appreciate a bold statement, but I'm not going to Catmandu. For me, it's more of a Catman don't on that one. You know, I love you, Lucian, but looking back, I actually love this option for my 2 brothers, you know. I feel like if they got with Kat, they'd be leveling up. You know what I mean? If you know them. I just kind of like that option for them. And then I feel like life with Kat is just a constant answer to the question, is there any more of that rice left? Just constantly answering that question. A lot of rice bowls going on there. And then I think Lucian's garage should say, you get more than a car when you deal with Lucian. Now featuring Kat's pottery. I think that might be a good angle for him to take. I remember when I was buying my 4th car, my mom came with me. My dad helped out on the first car and the second car, and my grandfather helped on the 3rd car. And now one of them got me a good deal. So be warned about that. Then we were finalizing the deal with my mom, and the car dealer gets to the part, you know, do you want these added features? You want this? You want that? And she's like, yep. And this is a lady you can't even get her to order when you go out to dinner, you know? It's like, at least she didn't ask if the added features were too spicy. And he's like, what about this extra insurance? And then he says, well, we're like, nah. He's like, well, if you die in the car, please don't come back as a ghost and haunt me. And I was like, oh, man, that's weird. I wish my dad and grandfather were here, but you're talking to your mom, my mom. Your mom and her child, they might die in this car you're selling us. What kind of death trap is this, right? So, never mind, you know, who's going to continue to make the payments after I die. You're worried about your haunting. That seems a little weird to me. I wish we said, okay, now redo the paperwork. You got to take some money off for that ghost comment. And I'd say to him, how do you sleep at night, you know? But he'd probably say pretty good because he keeps adding in this ghost clause. And I'd like to ask him if he was kidding, you know, because yes, you're kidding. You joke about your customer's death in the final moments of making the sale. And if you're not kidding, you believe in ghosts. That's cool, but it's not really the time to bring it up, you know. You believe in ghosts, but not jinx, I guess, because you're jinxing us real bad here. My first 4 cars my first 3 cars were like you know, wedding anniversaries. You get something different each time. First one was gold, the second one was silver, and the third one was wood paneling. At least they didn't go with paper, right? Yikes. Um, when I got my first car, we didn't have Instagram or anything like that. And two of these girls in class, they walked by and they said, "Nice car." And I was impressed. I got a comment in real life and 2 likes. It's just always stayed with me. And when I bought my first car, the dealer asked me, "Are you gonna take any, gonna go start going on any dates in this?" And I was like, "Okay." Creepy. But I'm not gonna take anybody on a date in this car. If I actually ever get a date, I'm gonna rent a limo. Of course. That's what you do, right? My first car, the speedometer, it went up to 35 miles per hour. And then everything after that was just a guess. It was, "Not so fast, mister." That was the slogan. That was the commercial tagline. It came out about the time with, "Where's the beef? Where's the horsepower?" That was what this car was known for. My first car, when I used to start up, it used to let out a huge ball of smoke when it started up. It was like when you go to a concert and the band's about to come out, and a huge band of smoke come out. And I'd be like, who's going to come out? Is it the Rolling Stones? Start me up? I don't know. Yeah, my uncle used to drive us around in his Mercedes at speeds of up to 120. And when I was older, I found out his speedometer was in kilometers. So that's the difference there. But still really fast. It's too fast. I thought I'd be smart, and I'd gotten one of those gas caps with the lock on it because I didn't want anyone to steal my gas, you know? And I couldn't get it off at the pump. I couldn't get that little key in there and turn it. It was stuck. So there I was at the gas pump crying, and I ended up driving off crying. And I was crying because I had prepaid. So that gas cap lock I was losing money. I wasn't saving gas. Now I'm like, after trying it a few times, if you want to siphon my gas, you can have it. That's how I am like that now. We used to have this technology. It was a cigarette lighter that you push it down and then it would pop up, and I loved that. And I love that action, And yet people don't smoke anymore. But what about just burning ourselves in general? Or burning little circles into the seats? We don't need it for that anymore? Maybe I need to get a wood burning kit, And what about thwarting a carjacking? If you have this cigarette lighter, picture this. The carjacker is choking you, right? And it's, not on purpose. I don't know what you're into. You know what I mean? Like, he's choking you, and you press that button for the lighter. Now, you both are looking at that thing when it pops up. Now, he can either break the hold and grab the lighter, or you can grab the lighter and burn him in the face. And then carjacking thwarted, right? Use it as many times as you want. You can put it back down and pop it up again if you need to. Now, this cigarette lighter becomes the most important piece evidence in the case, right? You can get DNA off it. You go to see a lineup of perps, and each one has a burn mark on their face. You got to identify which one it is. I feel like if you ever burn someone's face with that, you don't forget who it was. And then if you burn them in the hand, then they can tell where the arc is. Did you get the car? No. Something better. Amulet. I remember I drove my friend to our baseball game. Sorry, no cards involved. We were actually playing, and the dashboard started shaking. Crazy. And he looks at me. He goes, "Hey, what's with this? Is this car? Are the tires on this car bald?" And I was like, "Oh, no, that makes sense. I never thought of that. All I thought is just you put gas in and you go, right?" But good on him to call me out. And it was probably just an alignment thing. But luckily, my mom had gotten the added feature of the parachute that comes out of the race car at the back. And she's always saying, just use it, just use it. It'll slow you down if you need to. And then we'll just fold it up like that hot air balloon you don't ever use anymore. We can always fold it up and put it back in there. It was just an added feature. She was always saying that. And when we got to the game, I remember the biggest kid on our team laying on his car listening to Crisscross, and I thought, this is the coolest thing ever, The song's telling him to jump, but he just lays there defiantly, Not even a foul ball could get Ronnie off that hood. No, the only thing that worked was yelling, snack bars open. No, sorry. So I had to get new tires, and I was a new kid at the game, and the tire guy at one of those places is so happy to see you when you're a young kid. Like, it's almost like such a young person asking for tires. He's like, ha, 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 you need tires? Ha, ha. I see you driving around with your friends on those bald tires. I was like, yeah, that's me. So how much is it for one tire? One tire? $1 bazillion. Like, oh, okay, great. It seems like it's like you landed on one of his spaces in Monopoly, All right, here it comes. Down come the hotels. Now the houses. I got you, right? Then I was saying, well, how much is it for 4 tires? $1,200. Oh, so you like to sell them in sets? I see how that works. It's more of a game of you live and you learn with tires, and then you're like, okay, I'll do it. I'll be back in 4 hours. And he won't stop giving you advice. You shouldn't let him get that bald. It's bad. It's bad for the car, bad for the environment, bad for the movie industry. You're like, what? He's like, bad for the road. I'm like, okay, all right, fine, whatever it is. Then you get the car, and the tires don't even look that good. These tires look like balder than the ones I drove in on. And he says, yeah, to save money, we gave you refurbished tires. Have a nice day. Remember, don't let them get too bald next time. Yeah. Then if you get this, and if they have the tire place has like a review, you can type it in. You see, the only thing balder than my tires was the salesman, right? I think he's been taking in too many of those tire fumes. I remember I had to go to the junkyard once, and when I went up to the counter, I was like, yeah, I need a window crank. A car is sold, need one of those window cranks. He's like, yeah, we have that model out in the back in the junkyard. There's here's a hard hat and some tools. And I was like, I don't think they do this anymore, but like, oh, okay. So I went back there, and there was like tons of cars, like 100 cars. Like, I didn't even know this area existed. The wind was blowing, it was like a scene out of The Walking Dead, a little bit of moaning going on in the background. I was like, I'm definitely coming back here to shoot a movie, I didn't even go right to the model. Like, first you have to find your model, but I didn't even go to that one. It was like picking out a bumper car, I was like, oh, this one, and I was getting in them, I was trying them out. And, you get a bumper car that doesn't move, you at least got to try it out. Yeah, this is pretty cool, pretty good. So then I finally found my model. I sat down and I had the tools and everything. I was like, oh, here's the piece. I need this window crank, right? So I was like, oh, how do I get it off? So I started pulling it like it was a chicken wing, like, and I was like, wait, that's how mine broke. So I took the screwdriver and I started to like jab at the leather around it, trying to poke it out. And then it all came out in all these pieces, and I was like, oh, how much of this do I need? So I took all the pieces, and I went back up to the counter, put them on the counter, and the guy was like, okay, $12. And that was it. I was like, wow. It was like, it reminds me of if you've ever been like blueberry picking or apple picking, and you're just out there, oh, that looks good, or that apple on the ground, you're just finding stuff, eating whatever you find, It's kind of like this. You're just looking in ashtrays, eating whatever you find out there. Yeah, looking in the glove box. One time there was a whole bunch of pennies, and I was like, oh, this is One-Eyed Willie's treasure. I looked at, oh, and someone left a baby back here too. This isn't good. It was so much fun. I thought I might bring my first date there, and she might be like, oh, a junkyard? And I'd be like, yeah, I was going to rent a limo, but there's a wrecked one over there. The best part is just sitting in them, right? And I was like, the guy at the counter, he can give us a map to the ones that have nice interior and the radios still work. So it'll be kind of a nice date. And then I saw the reviews online. The junkyard reviews says, it's 3 out of 4 stars, unsuspectingly delightful. Even though the cars don't move, it was a wild ride. Another one said, it was ratchet. Not sure what that means, if it's good or not. And then, my car was missing its window crank, but other than that, it was a great time. That might have been mine, I don't know. It was like a really crowded drive-in theater with just no movie. So those were just some of the reviews if you're thinking of doing it. Another thing I always wanted was those vanity plates. But you always have to pay extra for them, and I'm like, I never got around to doing it, I always wanted to get woo, because I'm a big Ric Flair fan, And then I saw someone who had it, and I was like, that's dumb. It needs more than five O's, I think. And then I thought, well, what else does Ric Flair say that I could get? Oh, yeah, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And I was like, oh, that's 10 letters, so that's out. Probably not doing that. I saw a movie where everyone in town had vanity plates, and I thought it was pretty cool, And I thought, I think my town might like this. I remember the sheriff had like sheriff on there. The baker had like chef 1 on his, and the town sex worker just had whore on hers. So I thought, it's nice. They're very accepting in this town. And I thought I'd really like, maybe Plymouth to be like this, but not just because of the whore plate, but, it might be fun, My mom could have like Mom Dubs on there. My dad could have Daddy-O on there. My brother could have Jerk Chick on there. Not just because his favorite dish is jerk chicken, I don't know. He'd probably go with Buck, but I don't know. And my other brother, he could have Angus on his. And not because he likes Angus beef, because his name is Angus. That's what most people call him. Kind of obvious one there. And what is the real cost of a vanity plate anyways? What is the inmates just have to be in a good mood that day? Is that what's going on there? Yeah. Nobody bothers Sal today. No, nobody bothers Sal today. He just found out his ex just got married and she wanted a plate made by him. Yeah, she wanted it to say rid of him. And Sal's girlfriend broke up with him too. Yeah, she wanted a plate from him too. It just said bye Sal on that. One of the new cadets wanted the inmates to make his, and he wanted it to say lock him up, but without the O, it just looked like lick him up. So maybe a plate for when he goes over the bridge. I don't know. Whenever I see a vanity plate, I try to figure it out. I saw one the other day that said Dark Side, and I was like, ooh, that's cool. Are they Sith? Is it Star Wars? Or Dark Side, is it DC Comics? Or is it Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd, right? So maybe we should start giving out free bumper stickers that go with to make like a theme that help you, more like clues around it, Like, maybe maybe the lady with the whore could have like a penis sticker right there, or maybe one with a sperm with like a face on it, and then to round it out, maybe like a coat hanger. I don't know, just saying. Like then the teacher in town, her plate could say teacher. She could have an apple, a pencil, and then right on the other side to round it out, maybe hashtag bad bitch, kind of nice, Give that teacher a little cred. I know what mine would say. It would say #1 star, And it would have the local scene bumper sticker on there. Then over the top, it would have a whole pepperoni pizza sticker. Because I'd be living that life, son. And then I'd probably round it out with something on the side, probably hashtag bad bitch. I think then you'd know that was me. I know this guy, he was big into fishing, and he wanted his to say, Striper Club. But it was so condensed, it just without the vowels, it looked like strip club, And yeah, he had a fish hook sticker on there. He had, he had like a boat bumper sticker on there. But I just thought it was like a boat and hose situation, And then then it just looked like the fishing pole could have been mistaken for like a stripper pole, So whenever I see his car around, I keep a little vial of glitter with me, and I give it just a little dusting, just a little dusting. Maybe a little spritz of perfume on there, maybe a little cocaine over here, Because then when he goes home, his other car will be like, "Where have you been?" He's the only guy I know with a truck that had the eyelashes on the headlights, And then we had a clockmaker in town, and his vanity plate said clockmaker. He said a sundial, a clock face, and then it had a stick figure doing a chicken. And I said, "What's that all about?" And he said, "Well, that's in case someone thought it said cluckmaker." Is that what makes him cluck? And he told me I gotta go see his friend's vanity plate. He's got the guy that runs the feed store. His just says pecker, And my brother's mother-in-law's plate would probably say, "I sue you." And people would be like, "Oh, is she a lawyer?" No. She just likes to wear a neck brace from time to time. And I sprinkle glitter on her car too, just to fancy up the dents a little bit. Oh, thanks, Al's Billiards tonight. It was a great time. Yeah, thank you. Before I go, I'd just like to say you can see me in the upcoming film, Death Ride 3000, starring as the car salesman, Kingston's own Chris Cooper. Yes. And the voice of Kit is David Hasselhoff. In theaters soon, Death Ride 2000. They're old enough to drive, but are they old enough to die? Thanks, Plymouth. We'll see you soon.